So one of the most common questions in sports betting is about the bankroll. Things like, how much money do I need to start? How do I grow my bankroll? How much should I bet on each game? And these are great questions, and the answers can make the difference between winning consistently or burning out. So in this guide, I'll break it all down in simple terms. But first, what is a bankroll? Well, your bankroll is the total amount of money that you've set aside just for betting. Think of it like a business budget. This is not money for rent, groceries, or vacation. It's money for placing bets. And a bankroll protects you from the natural ups and downs of betting, called variance. Even when you have a winning strategy, you'll still lose bets sometimes, and that's normal because the bankroll helps you survive those losing streaks. It also helps you take the emotions out of betting. If you're betting a small percentage of your bankroll, each bet won't feel like a life or death moment. And when I first started out with betting, I was a bit of an ape and I would go all in. I would do like all in bets for no reason. If I thought, wow, this game has amazing odds, I can definitely win. And then that game ends up losing and then I lose everything. Even rage betting after going on a losing streak. By having these like bankroll and like limits to your bets, it just makes things just way better. Because along with your bankroll, you also have your emotional bankroll because there's the money in your account, but then there's also what you're mentally ready to risk. If a bet amount causes you to feel stressed, then it's too big, even if technically you have the money. This is your emotional bankroll. And to succeed long term, your emotional and financial bankroll should match. So ask yourself, at what point would losing money make me quit? That's probably your true bankroll. Now here's what bankroll management is not. Bankroll management doesn't magically turn bad bets into good ones. It's not a secret system that guarantees profits. Some people think doubling up after a loss or chasing bets is a system. It's not. That's how you go broke. The only thing that helps you win long term is having an edge and betting when the odds are in your favor. Once you have an edge, bankroll management helps you avoid going bust while you get the edge to work for you over time. But how do you actually find an edge? Well, the key to all of this is having bets with positive expected value. But finding those bets on your own can be tough, especially if you don't have time to manually check lines across 20 different sports books. So that's where OddsJam comes in. OddsJam is what I personally use to scan hundreds of sports books in real time, and it shows you which bets have an edge based on market movement, sharp book comparisons, and expected value calculation. So if you're trying to take bankroll management seriously, then you need quality bets to start with, and OddsJam makes that part easier and faster. So enough yapping on my side. Here's what OddsJam actually looks like. As you can see in the positive expected value dashboard, we have a bunch of different bets here. For example, this one right here, Bologna FC, and this one is a 10.5% expected value bet, which means over the long term, if you place this bet 100 times, and you let's say you place $100 total of money, you should make back $10.50 from that $100. So OddsJam basically finds these bets for you. It lists it out in this dashboard. It's a super awesome tool that I use myself, and I highly recommend it. If you want to check it out, I'll put a link to it in the description, and you can get started with a 7-day free trial. But here's how to actually bet, because we have two different methods you can approach. We have Kelly versus flat staking. These are the two main ways to size your bets. So Kelly staking, this is a formula that says the better your edge, the more you should bet. But in sports betting, it's hard to know your exact edge. So instead of betting full Kelly, most people use quarter or half Kelly. So for example, you think you have a 4% edge, odds are even money 2.0. So full Kelly equals 4% divided by 2, which means you bet 2% of your bankroll. Quarter Kelly is where you bet 0.5% of your bankroll. Now flat staking is a lot easier. You just bet the same percentage every time, like 1%. It's safer, especially if you're unsure about your edge, and you grow slower, but you're less likely to overbet and crash. So you can do either way, but the key rule is don't risk too much at the same time. Overbetting leads to you just ruining your entire bankroll, and underbetting just means slower growth. So sometimes slower growth is safer. It's better to go with that. I recommend you to never go above 3%. That's probably the absolute max. Honestly, don't go over 2%, but above 3%, you're just kind of risking it too much, because all you need is a losing streak and you're completely done. So how big should your bankroll be? Well, there's no one-size-fits-all answer, but here's how to figure it out. Start with these 3 questions. How much profit do you want to make? How often can you find positive EV bets? And what kind of edge are you getting? So let's say you have a 4% average edge. You bet 1% of your bankroll per bet, and you find 10 good bets per day. That means every 10 days you've placed 100 bets, which equals to 1 bankroll churn. And each churn earns you 4% of your bankroll. So if you want to double your bankroll, that takes 18 churns. So use the rule of 72. So 72 divided by 4 equals 18. So 10 days times 18 churns equals 180 days. So it takes about 6 months to double your money in theory. So this kind of gives you an idea. If you kind of run this calculation, you'll get a better idea of what you're willing to do. But how to build a bankroll from scratch. If you don't have much to start out with, there are 2 low-risk ways to grow. The first one is to take advantage of promos and bonuses, because some sportsbooks still offer risk-free bets, deposit matches, or odds boots. These are small positive EV spots, but they add up fast. And if you're in a state with multiple sportsbooks, you can rinse and repeat across them, just like take advantage of all the promos that you can. Some countries don't do it, like in Australia, they don't have these kind of deposit matches or anything like that, so it's a bit harder there, but in the US, there's tons of these. Step 2 is to focus on inefficient markets like player props. These markets are less sharp than sides and totals, and with a little bit of research and line shopping, you can find positive EV spots. But just be careful, some books limit prop bettors faster. If they notice that you're betting a bunch on these really obscure markets, it kind of makes it obvious that you're a sharp bettor and they're going to ban you. So you want to mix in a few dumb bets, you could say, where you bet on just a result of a game, like just bet on the Premier League, bet on a full game result, something like that every now and then, just to kind of make yourself appear more casual. But yeah, if you're only betting on like total corners per match or something obscure like that, yeah, they're gonna notice. But even if you have only a few $100, you can start small and you're able to build from there. So here are the pros and cons of small bankrolls. The pros are it's low pressure, the losses don't hurt as much, and it's easier to find value in low limits and promos, and it's great for learning without big mistakes. But the cons are growth is very slow, and some bets are capped, like $25 max value, so you might get bored and discouraged before you see some big results. But if you're serious, your best bet might be to work a side hustle, save up, and come in with at least $1,000 to $2,000 to start. So some final tips for bankroll success: always bet with an edge. If there's no edge, don't bet. You can use a tool like OddsJam to find these positive EV bets. It's what I do myself. It makes it so much easier. Just stay consistent, don't jump around with stake sizes, and let the profits build and reinvest into your bankroll before cashing out. And be patient. This is a grind. It's a long-term play. This is not about hitting the jackpot and getting rich quick and leaving. It's a slow grind where you slowly build your bankroll. And if you think about it, like if you invest and you make 5% per year, you're happy with that. If you make 10% per year, you're buzzing. That's super awesome. But with sports betting, you're getting like 5 to 10% from one bet. If you think about it, if you're doing positive EV bets, that's a way quicker, way faster return for the same money. It's actually just a way better investment if you think about it. And it's proven to work in the long term because it's backed by math. So highly recommend this. Positive EV betting is the move. Best way to build your bankroll. Take it slow, okay? Treat it like a business, and over time, you'll get there. But if you want to learn more about positive EV betting, then check out this next video next to see how I use positive EV betting, deep dive into the strategy, and what you can do to get started to start making some serious money from sports betting. I'll put it up on the screen for you to watch next.